Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing the third Omen guide on the channel, and the map we're doing today is Sunset. So without further ado, let's get into the attacking side. So we'll just start with everything you need to know on the A side. So a few Omen flashes you could do. It's just this one A main here. That flashes anyone trying to push this side. Or you could come through and do this flash, just around this corner here for anyone playing close on the right side. Or if you take this space, you can actually flash like behind this box here for default. Or if you fear anyone could be behind this box or playing on top of these boxes, you could flash this as well. There's a lot of different variations you could do with an Omen flash on this map. And for smokes, the default smokes would be just here for a link and here for CT. So those are the main two smokes. Obviously, if you want a full rush aside, let's say you're in an eco or something, you could smoke either this side off if you want to go all the way through elbow, or if you want to just focus left side, you could smoke one of these off. But I suggest someone always be watching the smoke in case someone tries to catch you off guard and peek through the smoke. And let's say once you have this site, I see a lot of Omens TP up here, and this is quite good, but you don't want to be doing this too much as it can get quite predictable, especially in higher elo lobbies. People are more often or not going to be pre-aiming this before this, strangely. So maybe you can make for one round play down here and someone will pre-aim up here, and you can get a free kill. Or you could play down here and maybe flash out when they get on site if you still have your flash, or you could save your flash for the post plant and swing off it. We're in a 1v1 or something. So yeah, there's a lot of things you could do on Omen, and there's a lot of things you can try. Also, I wouldn't really smoke anywhere else other than Link and CT, as I just think you want to be splitting your push on this side, because more often or not, there's always one elbow and then there's always one playing close here. So if you're only clearing elbow, they could probably just flank you or something, and you're not going to have anyone watching it. But I mean, if you're on an eco or something and you want to try something different, I'd say go for it, why not? And also, you can kind of play here and smoke off one of these sides and play around the smoke. So you can get quite creative on Omen, and I said this in every Omen guide I can do. You can often quite a lot smoke and play around your smoke and try and get a lurk or whatnot, because people are going to be a lot more hesitant to push through a smoke, and this will also give you more time if you've got the bomb down as well to play for the post plant and play for the round. If you put a smoke down, as they're going to be way more hesitant to push you, and you can play around it as well. So yeah, that's everything I would say you need to know for the A site. Now we'll do the B push. So the default smokes for the B push would just be here for market. And in my opinion, I always like to smoke off CT rather than stairs for backside, because more often or not, the enemies can actually play around the smoke quite well, and they can just take half a site's worth of space instantly with the smoke. So I would always recommend doing this smoke and not this smoke. But if you're on an eco and they're on their force, maybe you could try smoking close and playing with a shotgun or something up. And again, with Omen, you can get quite creative with the TPs. Like, you can get up here, not many people can get up here. I mean, I wouldn't really say you can TP much where else, but that TP is quite good. They don't normally check that. Or you could, if you want, get another smoke back and you can maybe take this space quite fast if you want. But I don't really recommend fighting this too much unless you're outnumbered, because if you've got numbers, you always usually want to play safe to keep your numbers and make them have to do all the work. And with your flash, I would suggest just doing this flash most times, as this is a very, very common angle on this map. People do love to sit behind it, and if they're flashed, you can easily take this fight, especially if there's a smoke off, because you can't get traded from market unless they peek out. And hopefully by the time you can get one and someone peeks out, you should have a teammate on site with you, but that's not really your job on them, and your job is to flash for them. So yeah, that's most of what you really need to know on B side. I wouldn't really say there's a lot more you could really learn. Maybe you could use your flash like this if you've already taken this space. I wouldn't recommend flashing this, because in my opinion this is just a bit of a waste when you can just kind of pre-fire the angle, because most of the time you are going to be winning that fight if they're there. So yeah, everything you need to know on B side pretty much. You could also smoke this as well, give that a go. Maybe play up around this smoke, but this is all very risky, so I wouldn't really recommend taking too many risks, too many rounds, unless you need to make a play to win a round. But so yeah, just stick to the default smokes for now while you're getting used to playing the Ancient. Maybe get creative and try and maybe TP on top of this box, try and catch your opponents off guard. You could also mix it up and hold a cross as well, so if they try to push out CT, they're dead. But one thing I would say, if you're playing up here, always have someone watching market, because if they swing you from here, and no one's watching you, and your team are just baiting you, you kind of got to worry about two angles at the same time. So always think about that, where your team are playing around you, for where you're going to do that play or not. So yeah, that's everything for the reset. Okay, so for the mid push, More often, you're always just going to be smoking off top mid every time. And this will basically stop any oppers playing from top or below top. And when you've taken this space, you can kind of do anything, to be honest. One thing I would always recommend for a mid push on Omen is wherever you're playing, always be prepared to use your flash for whatever. So let's say you know someone's always pushing this straight away. If you're full just going straight from bottom mid, I would recommend flashing just like this and smoking. But more often or not, you're gonna have people play market, so you can kind of just like wait for them to get an angle. Because I would say like 60% of the time this door is going to be closed, and if someone pushes when the door's closed, you don't have to worry about getting re-peeked from here. And here, anyone from bottom mid is kind of stop this, or it's going to be smoked off for you. Well, you can smoke it off and peek it. So if someone's pushing it, more often than not, you can actually go and get this kill. If your team make noise here, they're going to be more concentrated on bottom mid, and you'll have a free kill. And from here, once you've taken this space, you can kind of do anything you want. Like, if you have a sky or a lot of flashes, you can kind of flash through here, or maybe take these fights. And you can go and take A from mid. I wouldn't recommend smoking anything other than this. CT here. And you could maybe throw a smoke down here as well. Just to stop anyone from being peeked this, you can kind of take the set smoothly, because if you're pushing here from Link, like, you're always going to have to be looking here anyway, so if anyone tries to push out of that, they're going to be dead unless you whiff your whole clip. Or you could go from market to B, and obviously you could do this smoke, as you normally do, and you can save your flash and flash this side, or this side of market where everything they're playing, and always smoke this off, I would say. More often or not. And here I would say you actually have to be really careful and make sure one of your teammates is always watching this smoke, because a lot more often than not, people think they're smart and they try and catch you off guard by doing something brain dead, like peeking out of your room and smoking to 5 people, hoping they're not looking at you. So always just have your back covered whenever you're doing a play like this. I would always recommend someone watching your smoke, both smokes, even if you're kind of out of range of it. And when you're doing these pushes, like I said with this smoke here, always be careful of the mains of both sides, because they could either be trying to flank you fast if you're going mid, or they could simply be trying to stay be main to take that space and catch you off guard. So someone could always be main. Be careful, anywhere you haven't cleared, there could be an enemy there. So always try and have it programmed in your brain to be watching something at all times. So that would be my version of the mid push, to be honest. You could also kind of flash up like this, or like this, if you could take the space without having to use your flash. But yeah, every time you're here, I would recommend using like a sky flash or a phoenix or flash, or a sort of fast blind to get out of this smoking to top mid straight away. Once you've taken top mid, I would pretty much say there's a 90% chance you'll win the round, because this is really hard to retake, and it's really hard for your enemies to predict what you're going to do once you've taken top mid. So I'd say sunset mid push is actually really super effective as well. Especially if you have someone mark it. Never just 5 men out of bottom mid. Always have someone mark it and be ready to fight this. Yeah, more often than not, if you can take top mid or you can split market B, you'll probably win the round, because you're quite unpredictable. And remember, every time you smoke something off, to walk past it like this, always have someone watching your smoke, whether it's you, whether it's one of your teammates. Same thing with this smoke. You can actually like try and flank around your smoke and maybe play in it and catch someone off guard trying to push through it as well for this smoke. I would say it's a bit more risky with this smoke, because you can kind of be peeked from a lot of different areas. So you would kind of have to be forcing yourself to hit a shot every time you're playing through the top mid smoke. But this market smoke is quite nice to play in, especially if you're in an eco round or something, but you could play in it with a rifle as well. Yeah, I'd say that's everything you kind of need for the attack curve, to be honest, on this map. I'd say there's not too much room for creativity on this map. If you've taken Marky, it could maybe TP up top of here. But bear in mind, even though it doesn't look it, this is kind of paper. This is paper thin. Like, you can kind of wall bang through this really easily, and it goes to the other side like perfectly. So you could take a lot of damage through this wall bang here, and you can kind of wall bang through it as well. Like this is paper thin. But yeah, onto the defense off. Alright, onto the defense off, and we'll start with the A site. And I'll say this site is quite ambiguous. There's a lot of different places where you can smoke and where you can hold from. So if you want to play aggressive, you can smoke this off, and I would always recommend having at least 2 people push this. And you can maybe go fight for mid control if you want to take free lobby through this smoke. But if you want to play a little bit more backed up and anchor the site a little bit better, you can either smoke like this, Or if you want to play a little bit further up, you can actually kind of one-way like on top of this box. This is quite strong. You'll see when this smoke disappears. But while that's disappearing, you can also smoke this off. But I would probably recommend having someone play an elbow and just smoking off like this. So yeah, as you can see with this one way, they can't really get out anywhere. And if you're playing here, I'll re-put it back up. You see them, they can't see you. And this one way also works from here as well. So it can be played from multiple positions. And you can get creative again with your TPs. Like you can get on top of here, you can get on top of this box if you want. If you wanna, as I said, if you wanna get creative with your TPs, you gotta realize firstly where you're exposed from and what your teammates are holding. This smoke's super good to just hold a down elbow if you have someone, I don't know, Link or here holding the side push. And if they die, I would recommend straight away just TPing behind the smoke and playing a retake with your team to play your life. Hopefully you can get a kill at least on that angle before you like leave. Yeah, I'd say that's kind of how you play on A. Like, you can smoke off this, you can just smoke normally like this. If you want as well, if you want to play extra backed up and try and bait them into pushing mid, you can just smoke off like this. You can smoke like this and play elbow. You can kind of smoke off like this, but I would say this is a bad smoke because this gives them a lot of space and they can basically just take elbow off of this smoke. But if you want to give up elbow and you want to play super defensive, you can smoke this and play fully backed up and try and bait them to come out of that smoke. Hopefully that means there'll be a dedicated A push if you smoke there. Or if you want to play super aggressive, you can obviously just smoke this kind of chokehold here. But there are like a few kind of gaps where they can see you from like here. So I wouldn't recommend playing all the way to this left side. They can't see you from this right side. And if you want to play aggressive, I recommend playing there. You can also catch your opponent off guard and play up here off of this smoke. So yeah, there's a lot of things you can do on A to try and hold the site down. You can play aggressive, you can play passive, you can play extremely passive. And for flashes, you can also support your teammates. You could flash like this, but I wouldn't recommend smoking if you're doing that flash. And for retaking, you could kind of come all the way here and just flash most of elbow. I recommend trying to get the close corners more so, because that's where you're going to get, like, you're going to be able to peek from sooner. And if you're retaking as well, you can kind of flash like down here by default or through here by this box where lots of people like to kind of play. So those are the kind of free retake flashes I'll do for A, to be honest. Wouldn't really flash this because most of the time you're going to have it smoked off for the retake anyway, so you could just focus on taking side control back. So yeah, I'll kind of just save your flashes for either behind the box on default, again by this box where they could be playing up or lower, or just these close corners here for elbow. But I would say the prior two flashes before this one are a lot better because they can obviously just back up. Because the Omen flash got nerfed as well, like it's kind of easy to dodge this one because it doesn't really cover much. You can also flash it a lot deeper, but bear in mind if they're anywhere by this corner, they're not going to be flashed. So just keep that into account when you're retaking. You could also just flash like this as well, but I would say like he doesn't get any of this or this. So this flash is only good if you have people